Some World of Warships now. It's a pretty relaxed sort of team battle game, and we'll just have some fun.
Sink some ships.
Yeah, we're gonna start off with a classic, the historical battleship Bismarck.
So what kind of weapons does our Bismarck have?
So our Bismarck is equipped with 8 guns and 4 turrets, and it's a pretty speedy ship. So it's actually one of my favorites because it's just got a very sleek design.
And are some ships like tankier, some ships are better damage weapons. What's the difference between different ships?
Yeah, so there's 3 or 4 main types of ship. So we've got battleships like the Republic, we've got cruisers, which are less tanky but a bit quicker, and we've got destroyers, and their main thing is torpedoes. So,
Are there submarines?
no, no submarines, but the game is actually going to be implementing them at some point. So we'll see how that changes the game.
It's World of Warships.
Yeah.
Alright, so we got a big radar in the bottom right.
Yeah, so this is our map, and so looks like what we're going to do is we're going to be supporting the sea capture point.
What I'll do is I'll shift the camera to the top left after this,
Yeah.
because you're blocking kind of the main
Oh, jeez.
guns and stuff.
That's alright.
Yeah. So this is what, 8 on 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
so-
10?
I think it's 11, something like that. But, yeah.
And if you die, you're out.
Yeah, if we die, we're just going to hop into a different ship. Let's hope we can make it through the whole game, though.
And so how long does it take your ship to rebuild itself after you die?
So nothing like that. Once the battle itself is
Oh, then the
over,
ship is
we'll
gone.
get access to the ship again. So the start's a little bit slow, but we're just going to be cruising along until we see some enemies that we can actually shoot. So our range is the outermost circle on the mini-map, and that's a range of 21.2 kilometers.
21.2 kilometers.
Yeah,
If we had to compare that to Toronto from here, how far would that go?
I have no idea.
What kind of damage are we looking at?
So Bismarck is equipped with 15-inch guns, and they pack quite a punch.
Do you have limited ammo? Like, why can't you just start mortaring them from here, essentially?
Well, so we're not in range of anything except that ship, but we just lost vision on it. So, like I said, it's a little bit slow to start out, and actually that's why I'm a big fan of the game, because it's just something that's a little less reactionary. So we're firing some high explosive ammo at this cruiser over here. And that just means that hopefully we'll set fire to him.
Very nice.
Oh, no fire, but 3 hits, which is pretty good from that range.
And do you have torpedoes or just guns?
Now, so as the battleship Bismarck, we only have guns, no torpedoes. Maybe next game we'll hop into something that can showcase some of that.
Yeah, it's really cool watching the torpedoes underwater spread out as they go towards your enemy.
So again,
You get that action cam.
yeah, we're just trying to support our smaller ships so they can do the work of capturing like the important points. Because if we rush in there, we're pretty slow compared to them, so we'll have a much harder time getting out.
How do you know you're not driving towards that rock in front of you?
We gotta maintain a little bit of spatial awareness.
Okay. Do you have like a smoke screen or something?
No smoke, so that's something that destroyers actually have.
Ah, okay.
So if they're in trouble or if they want to support the team, they'll pop down a smoke screen, and so that'll obscure vision. Except it works both ways. If we're in the smoke, we can't see out. So we gotta rely on friendly vision too.
Oh, we got a donation from Silken Chan. In loving memory of Archbishop of Demoralization Chin.
Thank you, Silken.
Oh, I should change this to myself because I'm here with you.
So we were able to capture C just fine. So now, ideally, we should try and swing out and head towards B and sort of flank around, just to give the rest of the team some support.
I'm not sure who Silken Chan is, but
Silken is a good friend of mine, actually.
oh, very
Yeah.
nice. Well, he's here with us now, I think. Or maybe his timing's just impeccable. So you had like a periscope that went above the rocks. Is that like a perk or something before?
Yeah, so we have a binocular view, and so this is sort of relying on any sort of spotting that our team is able to give us, as well as from our own command tower.
Yeah,
So-
it looked like it was way above the rocks.
Yeah. Well, historically, battleships fired from like an incredibly far range.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They had to account for even like the curvature of the Earth. This game is a little simpler in terms of the aiming mechanics.
Yeah, they don't make you take into the Coriolis effect.
So we are currently detected by something, but we can't see them. So my
That
guess
should be
is it's some
concerning.
sort of enemy destroyer. And we got to take care of the ship behind us as well.
Is there any kind of like taking on water system? If you get hit in one compartment too much, you start taking like increasing amounts of damage?
So if we are hit by torpedoes, there is a relatively high chance that we will start flooding.
Okay. And is there a way to stop your flooding? You have like crews?
So yeah, if you looked at the bottom of the screen, we have a few consumables that we can use.
Yep.
So the R key will trigger our damage control party, which will stop any flooding and fire currently happening to our ship. Also featured are the repair crew and the fighter, and the U key is bound to our hydro search, which helps us detect torpedoes from further away. Ooh, we just took a big
Heavy
hit.
damage. So you can't see it behind the camera. There's a like a damage meter showing our health and stuff. We'll move the camera after this so you can see it.
So, oh, it's a good thing we just turned that on, because we can,
Look at those torpedoes
Some-
coming right at us.
yeah, and we don't want to get hit by torpedoes. It's a really unpleasant experience for, well,
More coming in.
yeah. So, we're going to try our best to,
Uh-oh.
oh my gosh, they're persistent.
Thread the needle. Oh,
We're
it's
gonna
hit you.
we're gonna eat one.
Okay.
All right, and so you see how we're taking on water there. We're flooding, so we're gonna pop a repair because flooding deals
We are getting
a lot of
pincered, I
damage to
think.
us. And so one really important part about the game is positioning. So we don't ever want to be sailing broadside to another ship,
Yeah.
because that lets them pierce through our armor a lot more easily. And we're getting hit from both sides, which is really unpleasant. And so, yeah,
I think he said the ship is on fire.
the ship is very much on fire. So we can be on fire in 4 different places at once. Thankfully, we only have one fire going at right now.
It's keeping them warm. The rain looks a little cold. You know, they can just rub their hands together.
Yeah. So we're taking some fire from over the mountain, so we can't return fire very well.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. So you're about like a little bit under half health now. Is there a way that you could get back to full health?
So we can't get back to full,
You just
but
gotta stop the burning.
yeah, we stopped the burning, and I just turned on my
Oh, more torpedoes coming. in.
repair to try and heal back at least a little bit of the superficial damage. But yeah, like I was saying,
Like the true
destroyers are a
Bismarck.
pretty big threat to us.
Yeah, like the true Bismarck, we may be going down.
Oh,
Good dodge, good dodge.
all right, we're safe. Safe for now. Safe for now. But
You know which
We're
ship
not in a-
sunk the Bismarck?
I cannot recall. I do know that Bismarck sank the HMS Hood,
Is that one in here, and can we sink it before we die?
so we currently are not facing a Hood on the enemy team, but the ship does exist in the game. Unfortunately, I do not possess it.
Are there any special damages, like the Bismarck fighting against it gets like a 5% damage boost against it?
No, but maybe you should talk to the game devs. I'm sure they would be happy to introduce more convoluted mechanics in this game.
Uh-oh, our ally looks like he's gonna go down.
Yeah, so it doesn't look like our team is holding up so well.
Oh yeah, we already lost 4-1.
A whole bunch of friends died in the center just in front of the B capture point. And right now, we're about to be down another, it seems.
As you're going down, can you ram another ship, or do you just stop and sink when you're dead?
So, as soon as we die, we're dead.
Okay.
I know that sounds a little obvious,
There's no ghost ships.
but ramming is a thing. So if we manage to hit an enemy ship when we're still alive, we will do our hit points worth of damage to them. And we have 69,000 hit points.
So if you hit them, you do 69,000 hit points of damage immediately?
Yes, unless you're going very, very slowly.
And do you explode at the same time? Or?
Yeah, so you take
Okay.
equal damage to their hit points.
Gotcha.
So a big ship ramming a small ship is actually pretty okay. Big ship ramming a big ship, both of
wipe.
us are gonna hurt a lot. And as you can see, the destroyer is being quite persistent.
Yeah.
We're gonna see our friend who take, oh, just one. Just one is fine.
Well, the fires are out. The rain's helping.
And we're about to hit an island, so we're not in a good spot here. Oops, we clipped our friend, but he was dead anyway, so no harm, no foul, right? But, yeah, distracted driving going on over here a little bit, so,
Kaboom.
yeah, and we lost on points.
All right, no problem.
But, yeah,
Let's alt tab real quick so we can move some things around.
yeah. So what are we doing here?
I'm just gonna move this up top left, and you just move the camera up to follow.
Oh, great. Thanks for the stream management, Scott.
No problem. Should see it alt tab. You just move our camera box up to that box. Oops.
How do I move the camera box?
Just click it specifically again. Just click it again. And again. Yeah.
Alright. Scott.
There you go.
There
Now
we
you
go.
got it.
All right. There we are.
Up a little bit.
Up a little bit.
Nope.
Is that
There
right?
you go. Yep.
All right. All right.
And you're good.
So we're playing a battleship, so maybe let's switch into a destroyer so we can show some torpedo action going on.
And you can see a lot more details in the bottom left now, so it should be
Yeah.
much
So-
better.
And part of the reason I like this game so much is it's got like a great set of like ship modeling. So there's a lot of detail that goes into all of the ships, and I think it's great.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
You get to see things that you just can't see in real life anymore because the ships don't exist or they're really hard to get to. So let's take a pretty relaxed game in the Shinonome. This is a Japanese destroyer, and so it's got 3 torpedo tubes, each with 3 torpedoes for a total of 9.
What's the flag that looks like the American flag at the top?
That's just a little cosmetic item that I've attached.
Okay.
Not historically accurate.
Well then, this game is obviously flawed. No one should play it. Accuracy is key. So that's the number of players that are currently queued.
Yeah, so it's a Friday night. It's a good amount. So as you can see, we are in a tier 6 ship, and the maximum tier range is a difference of 2. So the highest tier that we could possibly face is a tier 8. And so As you progress through the game, you gain access to higher tier ships, and they're usually more modern or higher firepower, stuff like that. And yeah, it's just a neat way to kill some time.
And so is that ship always the same level? Like it's a 6, you said? Is it always a 6?
Yeah, so as you progress through the technology tree, you start off with ships that existed around, let's say, before the start of World War One, and so that's a tier 1 ship,
Yeah.
most likely. And tier 10 ships can go all the way up to just before the Cold War. So you got a pretty wide range of naval history, and even some ships that didn't necessarily exist in real life, but had paper designs sketched out.
Nice. Do you want to give us some details in the bottom left corner since we were hiding that before?
Oh yeah, so the bottom left corner, you can see the details of our ship, our speed, and if you hover over, you can get a bit more detail here. Like I said, the game's pretty complicated in terms of detection, firing, stuff like that. But you get a good status here, so we have 3 guns, and we have 3 torpedo tubes. And we're currently going at 35 knots.
Is there an out of range? Like, could you just keep going west until you're out of the map? What happens then?
So we're pretty close to the edge of the map, looking at the mini-map, but there's a bounding box. So if you hit the edge, your speed will be reduced, and you'll be kindly asked to turn back.
Please return to the battle, traitor.
Exactly.
Deserter, sorry.
So as a destroyer, one of our primary goals is to capture the capture points. So as you can see, we're currently sailing into point A, and with any luck, we will be able to stop an enemy from taking it.
The destroyers are the fastest ships.
That is correct. So the current fastest destroyer in this game, I think, can go about 42 knots, which is significantly faster than any other ship that is currently implemented. So we're just gonna sit here for a little bit and wait for our friends to catch up. But the important thing is that we get into the point so we deny the enemy from capturing it. So you see that capturing area timer down there. There's an orange ship in there, which means it's being contested right now.
So there's probably a destroyer somewhere that you can't see also trying to capture it.
Exactly. So if I had to guess, I would say that he would be behind the island that I'm currently behind, but the other way.
Yeah. Oh, there's a nice smoke screen example.
Yep. So you can see so they can't see out, but we can't see in. So it's a pretty important decision. Like, when do we pop smoke, and when do we just make a break for it? So I'm gonna put in some torpedoes, just like on a wide spread, just in case anyone tries to get any ideas to pass through this island. Again, it's a slow start, but once people start breaking away from the main group, we'll have a little bit more opportunity to go a bit, let's say, lone wolf, maybe hunt down a stray battleship. So in addition to being a fast maneuverable ship, we're also pretty hard to spot. So unless we are very close to an enemy ship, they will not have a good idea of our position. Like, we won't appear in their mini-map as detected.
So you got 3 guys on that side, 4 of you on this side.
Yeah. So if I had to guess, I would say that the enemy destroyer is right over here. Yep, there we go. So let's just send in another set.
So that's your ship turning to get your torpedo pods in the right angle.
Yeah, that's right. So we can only fire our torpedoes within this blue window here. because otherwise we would be launching them into the deck of our ship. Alright, so we've captured A. Our job here is basically done, and we don't want to overstay our welcome.
Or hit that.
Yes. So we're gonna carefully make our way into B now.
Is this called sea drifting?
Yeah, the physics in the game are actually modeled quite nicely. So when you turn, your turning circle is determined by your speed and actually the size of your ship. Yeah, so we just want to make sure that we're not going to eat any torpedoes, because we are super fragile. If you recall, our Bismarck had 69,000 hit points. We only have less than 13,000.
So is that like what? 2 torpedoes or how many shots?
It depends on the torpedo. A good torpedo hit could actually just kill us instantly. Alright. So we know that there's another destroyer floating around here somewhere, so we just want to deter them a little bit.
And so what do you have different skills now? You have a T and a Y that look different than last time.
Yeah, so T is our smoke generator, so that's a smoke screen. And Y is a speed boost, so we can actually overcharge our engine for a little while and get a bit more speed out of it. So we're going to cut some speed and then just start throwing some shells into the enemy destroyer.
Nice shots.
Some good shots, set them on fire. Yeah. Playing a destroyer is it's not for the faint-hearted, I find.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
High
stuff.
risk, high reward.
Yeah, especially in lower levels. You can get pretty brave, and so just charge an enemy battleship and torpedo him before he can get his guns on you.
Is there a minimum range that guns can't shoot in? Like, could you sneak inside?
So, guns, depending on the size of the gun and the ship, it takes a while to turn. So you can actually outcircle a battleship if its guns weren't speedy enough to keep track of you. It's a perfectly valid tactic. So, we've got a battleship over there, and the white indicator here is its current course. So, if we fired now, we would be launching our torpedoes into an island.
Poor residents.
Yeah. So, we're gonna do our best to just sit back, and then when they're distracted, go around the island.
And we can see that there's some targets in the sky. Looks like airplanes searching for other ships.
That's right. So some ships have fighter planes, some ships have scout planes. And so fighter planes are used to protect against enemy carrier attacks, and the scout planes are to improve your vision and your gun firing range. So a spotter plane can increase the range that a battleship's guns can fire, helping it fire over obstacles and stuff like that.
I think the game's pretty close so far. You got 3 ships down from each side. Looks like we got another donation.
Oh, thanks for the donation, Brian. Glad you're enjoying the stream.
Thank you very much.
All right,
You've
so
been detected.
yeah, our friend is back to try and capture C from us. So we're gonna try and scare him off. Getting some good hits actually. Pleasantly surprised.
Nope, he's smoke screen.
Yeah, he's
scared.
So we lost sight of him, but now we're no longer detected. So again, maybe he shouldn't have done that, because now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna throw all of our torpedoes into that smoke screen. And if we're
And
lucky,
there's no way for him to detect them, right?
exactly. If we're lucky, we'll hit him. And if he's smart, he'll back up.
He did the same thing.
Yeah.
Just blindly.
There's a few little tricks when you're playing destroyers that you pick up pretty quickly because you shouldn't get fooled twice by something like this. But we're in the lead by a good number of points. And so,
So is that him at that name, or is that just where you last saw him?
yeah, so if he's in gray, that's our last known position
Okay.
of that ship. Oh, hello.
Surprise. Oh. One more good shot and he's done. Very nice.
Oh, but he's launching some grave torps at us. Good thing we can easily escape that. And now we're free. We're gonna go hunt down that battleship over there.
Oh yeah, 3 ships left. You guys have a good advantage now.
Yeah. So, now that the map is cleared up a bit, we're under a lot less pressure.
Time to go hunting.
That's right. In fact, we know that the enemy carrier is somewhere around here, just because we saw their planes come from that direction. So if we were so inclined, we could hunt them down too. In fact, let's do that.
Sure. No, I already.
We're gonna pop our speed boost to get there a little faster. And hopefully we can find him before the match ends, because our team is doing a pretty good job.
There's no time limit, there's just a score limit.
So if you look at the top of the screen, you can see that there's a match timer. So we have 8 minutes until the match ends by time.
Oh, top right corner.
Yeah. And yeah, and our points are going to continue to tick up because we've captured all 3 points. And each capture point gives us 3 points every few seconds.
And so what are the rewards you get for winning a match?
So every time you win a match, you get a certain amount of experience for the ship and a certain number of credits. And so you use credits to purchase upgrades, consumables, and stuff like that.
And so your ship is auto gunning down the planes that fly nearby, or is that a different ship?
So each ship has a certain set of anti-aircraft guns, and they fire automatically. And then we can also designate like priority anti-aircraft sectors. So if you look at the bottom left, you can see that blue semicircle, which shows that our anti-aircraft guns are on full alert for that sector. So that'll increase the damage dealt in that half of our ship. And hello,
Whoa.
we're in luck. The carrier was a lot closer than we thought it was. So we'll just go ahead and give him a present. So we overestimated course, but that's why we didn't fire all of the torpedoes.
You hit him with about half, I think. Oh, wow.
All right, goodbye. See, torpedoes hurt a lot,
Oh,
and that's
yeah.
why we cannot get hit by one. Oh, we got our kill stolen, but that's okay. We contributed.
Yeah. One ship left. Looks pretty far away.
So, yeah,
Nice.
it's part of the fun of playing a destroyer. You get to be speedy. Because we started out at the bottom left corner of the map, and now we're all the way up here.
Yeah, it's a huge area. Do you know like the size of the map in kilometers?
So, it varies depending on the type of game, but I would say that this map was about 50 kilometers across. So it's a lot of area to play in.
Yeah, so that the speed is 33 knots. What is that, like kilometers per hour or something?
Oh, the conversion from knots to kilometers is kind of weird.
Okay.
But yeah, and at the end of the match, we can see how we did. And so, 3rd place is pretty good.
Nice.
So, showed off a battleship, showed off a destroyer. So let's play some cruisers now.
All
So
right, I'll
they're
go back one second.
a nice mix between battleships and destroyers. Some have torpedoes, some don't. and they're usually used to harass. So if we see a battleship on their own, we can set fire to him and then leave. Or if we see a destroyer, we can try and hunt them down because we outgun them by quite a lot.
Did you see new CD, right? It really released today. This is library, look. Yeah, that's... It's like the right way. Oh, excellent. 400 megabytes the game. The best quality. Fucking best.
So, looks like we're playing in a tier 7 to tier 9 game, and we're in a tier 8 ship, so that's just in the middle. So it's a good spot to be in. Just have to be a little bit careful, because there are some ships that are significantly stronger than us. So we are playing in the Mogami. It's a tier 8 Japanese cruiser,
I got 11 hours.
and it's got quite a nice gun arrangement. 10 guns in 5 turrets. 3 in the front, 2 in the back. And so just like last game, we're just going to hang back a little bit at the beginning so we don't get caught up in any unfortunate ambushes while we support the sea capture point right over here. Alright, so we see a smoke screen, which means that there's a destroyer in C. So we're gonna do our best to so we've attracted a bit of attention, but that's okay. Oh, okay. So the enemy destroyer has been spotted. So we're gonna try and focus him down first because they're a big threat to our battleships.
Which one? Capture the flag? Yeah.
Speedy bugger.
Yeah, you are back. Yeah, I was too good.
Alright.
I found them all really fast. Yeah. Right? Where? Libya?
I'm gonna try and wrap around this set of islands, and we know that there is an enemy Cleveland in the top right. There he is. So we're gonna see if we can light him on fire, because we do outgun them a little bit.
You're not in the game.
There we go. 7 hits, not bad. And we gotta watch ourselves because we're about to collide with one of our friends. strikes. So we don't want to go too far out because we see the enemy battleship right over there as well. And one hit from them can do a lot of damage to us. And remember, we don't want to be sailing broadside because that's a one-way ticket to Explosion Town. So we gotta do our best to minimize our profile. Oh, there's so many of them.
Can you get a gun here in this game? I have to learn. Gun game? No, you guys gun game. If you do like activation mark level, that's pretty well.
Okay, I'm back.
Hey, welcome back, Scott.
I was just helping prepare the next session in Mario Maker 2.
Nice.
Check for those updates.
Yeah. So we're just relaxing behind this island, and we're gonna try and take some pot shots at some of the enemy battleships.
It's like a vacation. Is there like a comedy section, or is there like a cruise ship that you can get in this somehow?
I don't think they would do so well against battleships.
So this is a only PvP game. There's no player versus AI or environment settings.
So there are a few AI scenarios, and there's also a co-op battle mode where a team of humans fights against a team of bots.
Okay.
But the bots aren't particularly great, so it's not like a rewarding experience in my opinion.
Sounds like the perfect place for
Oh
a cruise
no.
ship.
So we were broadside to that battleship over there, and like I said earlier, that's
Kaboom.
Explosion Town. So we're gonna get the heck out of here.
So, do you know much about historical Navy battles? Like, what was an average battle size in terms of number of ships?
So unfortunately, there's not a whole bunch of big naval battles in history. There's the Battle of the Atlantic, where the Bismarck was sunk, and there was also it wasn't one battle, but there was a series of engagements that saw the sister ship of the Bismarck, the Tirpitz, sunk as well. But normally, we wouldn't be seeing more than, I would say, 10 ships on each side.
So, there had been a naval battle where there were 10 ships per side. So, like, let's say a ship costs, $500 million. $5 billion against $5 billion.
Yeah, shipbuilding was incredibly expensive, so battleships like this were pretty important and that had to be protected.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why losing one of them was just a horrible blow. So we showed off some German ships. We've played some Japanese ships. So maybe let's give some American support.
America.
So this is the Cleveland. It's a Tier 8 cruiser. And this does not have any torpedoes. Because so American cruisers did not support torpedo armaments, unlike most other cruisers of the time. Japanese cruisers, British cruisers, all of them had torpedoes.
Did that hurt them or did that help them with their naval battles?
They placed a pretty big focus on firepower instead. So, different role.
And so I guess there hasn't really been a naval battle since World War II, right? There hasn't been any kind of...
Not really. I guess the closest thing would be when the Falklands War happened. If I recall correctly, a British ship was sunk by a missile at that time.
From another ship or from air? Or from land even?
I think it was a land-based missile.
Nice ship.
Yeah.
There goes $1 billion.
Because after World War II, after the Cold War, the focus really shifted away from battleships into aircraft carriers.
Yeah, exactly. Well, even just aircrafts instead.
Yeah.
You could do so much more damage with one plane than you could do with one ship.
Yeah, and it's so much cheaper, like you were saying before. Battleship costs millions, even billions of dollars to make,
And
it can
man.
be hit by one torpedo and it could sink.
Not to mention the manpower. We're talking about 500 people on a ship like these sizes, right?
Oh, definitely more than 500, I would say. But yeah, it's just battleships were turning out to be pretty poor value.
Yeah. And I guess they still make some, but most of them, you said, are carriers.
Yeah.
And the rest are just to protect the carriers.
Yeah, so right now, like American carrier battle groups are the carrier, a few destroyers, and other like smaller escort ships,
Yeah.
cruisers. We don't see battleships anymore, because the American Iowa classes, they were relegated to carrier escort rather than any sort of like ship to ship combat.
Is scurvy still a thing in the Navy? Do they have enough oranges now?
I think that's a solved problem. I would hope, because it's pretty easy to get vitamin C these days.
Yeah? But are they
Yeah.
like, if it's like, they have to take pills, or do they just carry like tons and tons of fruit?
I think dietary supplements are a pretty big part of it. But
Okay.
yeah, because I've had the good luck to be able to actually see and enter a few U.S. destroyers,
Yep.
just as museum ships, and they're quite cramped. So I don't
Oh,
think
yeah.
there's a lot of room for tons of limes anymore.
My dad went to the Royal Military College, and so everyone he knows is either a pilot, worked in a submarine, or on a battleship.
Oh, that's great.
So my godfather was in submarines. My dad was a pilot, and they're way smaller than you think. Like he's a big guy, 6'2", I think. And being in a submarine, every single compartment is a smaller door, so they can seal it shut if they have to. And I can't imagine like living on a battleship for these World War II, World War One time frames, like months and months out at sea or whatever.
Yeah, and comfort definitely wasn't a priority for them.
Yeah. Here's your metal bunk. Here's your thin mattress and your orange for the day. Good luck.
Pretty much. And so, thankfully, maybe there's less of that these days.
So does each ship have a different depth in the water? So if your shot misses short, if a ship is deeper, it would still hit it?
Yeah, actually. So the modeling is pretty sophisticated, not just in the ships themselves, but the way the physics works. So one tactic is that if you know that your ship's guns are too powerful, and so they'll punch straight through the enemy hull without exploding, you can actually fire at the water slightly in front,
To slow
and
it
that'll
down.
slow the shells down enough to trigger the fuses.
It's crazy to me that they're so in depth that the shell would punch through in some scenarios and then slow down and explode in other scenarios.
Yeah, it's all a matter of like what you're shooting at, right? So we're in a light cruiser, for example, so we don't have a particularly large amount of armor, but it's enough to still trigger the fuses on battleship shells.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We can see that by your health dropping immediately.
yeah,
in half.
we took some nasty hits, unfortunately.
Turned a corner and ran into some unfriendly friends.
We don't. What are unfriendly friends?
I would say those guys. We're all, ship enthusiasts here, but they don't like your ship as much as they like their friend's ship.
That's fair. That's fair. So, oh, we see a smoke screen. An enemy cruiser. So yeah, we're gonna turn back and link back up with our friends because we're a little too far away for safety. Because we can't take hits.
Yeah. We almost learned that the hard way.
But we're gonna do our best to harass. So, this Scharnhorst is already
nice
on
shot.
fire, and we're gonna see if we can set a few more on him. Oh, hello. A pretty damaged ship over here. So as cruisers, we're pretty much jacks of all trades, I think is the plural.
Nice, he's out.
Yep.
And do our icons at the top of the screen tell us what kind of ships they are?
Yeah, so the icons with the 2 lines through them, those are battleships. 1 line is a cruiser, and then the small triangles are destroyers.
It looks like
So
it's almost the same setup for both teams. Is it always the same composition?
yeah, the game tries its best to ensure a balanced distribution. And so, destroyer for destroyer, cruiser for cruiser.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's just one team chooses all battle cruisers, one team chooses all destroyers, and just like
Yeah, imbalanced teams like that, they're not a lot of fun, like in general.
yeah.
They can be exciting once in a while, but it gets stale being outmatched time after time, right? So,
Is there a World of Warships esports scene?
I don't think there's an esports scene, but they do host events now and then. There are clan tournaments.
Oh, we got a donation from Gabby, $25 US.
Thank you for the donation, Gabby. Hope you're enjoying the stream. And so we're currently playing World of Warships, published by Wargaming, who also, big hits,
Yep.
who also publish the perhaps more popular World of Tanks and World of Warplanes games.
You seem like we're in the open here, and 2 ships are coming around.
Yeah, so we're going to try our best to keep this island in between us and the Bismarck while we shoot at this York. And it's not going to work.
Fire everything.
Yes. So we can see that the Bismarck is firing its secondary guns at us. So those are triggered automatically. They're not player controlled.
Well, they do just as much damage as a regular gun.
Oh boy.
Yikes.
Oh boy.
But did you distract them enough that the missiles killed them? Torpedoes?
So, yeah,
Well-
so I think we did a pretty good job. And we've got quite the lead. So I think our job here is done.
So if you leave this match, do you still get the victory if your team wins?
Yeah, that's correct. So, because there's not much we can do once we're
You're just
dead.
watching,
We can
right?
hang around, we can spectate a bit, see how the rest of our team is doing, but don't think that it's quite as much fun as being the captain yourself.
Yeah. Alright, so we got about 10 minutes left, enough for one more match probably.
Yeah. Maybe a lower tier, just a quick,
Faster action.
yeah, fun thing. So let's hop into a destroyer and see if we can't just ruin some battleship's day.
So there's an aircraft carrier too.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not very good at aircraft carriers. I think it would be a very poor showcase of their abilities if I was at the helm. But yeah, aircraft carriers are able to interact with ships a little bit differently because they control the planes instead of the actual carrier.
Oh, really? So you man from the sky.
Yeah, so you're able to launch a squadron and then control the planes, fire rockets, fire torpedoes, dive bomb, stuff like that. The
It seems
controls
like an
are
interesting thing for a warship game.
Yeah.
To control the plane.
So carriers have been reworked in this game a couple of times. Originally, you were able to control multiple squadrons at the same time, kind of more of
RTS.
an RTS
Yeah,
style, but it didn't mesh very well with the rest of the gameplay. So this is their current iteration where you just control one squad, and then you
Hope your ship doesn't get sunk. Or
yeah,
right into an
you
island.
have incredibly limited control over the actual carrier. So you can plot a basic course, and that's about it.
And say good luck.
So did you actually seen carrier players who are a little bit unfamiliar just sail straight into the enemy team because they're too busy trying to
Trying to play the aircraft simulator.
exactly.
All right, so we have one on each team here. We might actually see some plane action.
Yeah. So again, it does their best. It does their best to balance out each ship type. And so you can see the pentagon with the horizontal line is our aircraft carrier at the very left. So we've got to be a little careful because we're outgunned by a lot of these enemy destroyers. And of course, we need to stay clear of all of these cruisers over here too.
So your area you're chasing is those top 4 ships, the
Basically.
big slow ones.
Yeah. And so you can see at the bottom of our mini map, our detectability radius is that a blue dashed line. So as long as we stay outside of 5.4 kilometers of an enemy ship, we will not be detected. And that's the only thing that's
Keeping us alive.
keeping us alive right now. So we have an enemy destroyer.
We've been detected 3 times.
Yes. And so we're going to,
Run away.
yes, get the island in between the enemy ships and ourselves and see if we can deal with it's definitely a game that you need to spend a little bit of time practicing your aim and stuff like that.
Yeah, like distance it in front of someone you have to shoot leading.
Yeah, because it's not just leading properly. Each ship has different guns, and they all have different characteristics, right? Some arc a lot when you fire, so you have to account for a lot more hang time. And others are very like flat trajectories, so they hit the ships a lot sooner than you would think. So it's just a matter of being familiar with the ship that you're captaining at the moment. And so we scared them off, and we're just going to make sure that they don't chase us by throwing down a few more torpedoes. We're not planning on hitting anything. We just want to make sure that we're not followed.
Yeah, just make them move in a way they don't plan on moving.
Yeah. So, see, our torpedoes have a range of 7 kilometers, and you can look. The maximum damage they do is 14,000. So we
would sink
ourselves
you easily,
would
yeah.
not be able to survive one of our own torpedo hits.
Is it possible to hit yourself with a torpedo? Could it be done?
I have never seen it happen. I've never seen it happen because there's a little bit of a delay between when the torpedo is launched and when it actually is active and the warhead arms.
So if you were too close to someone, the damage would be less than if it was the right distance away.
So if you're too close, so say for example the ship was literally next to us and we fired our torpedoes,
Yeah.
the enemy ship would take no damage because the torpedoes wouldn't have had any time to arm.
Right.
But once the torpedoes are armed, they are able to do maximum damage. And so the maximum damage is dependent on where it exactly hits the enemy ship. Because most ships have some torpedo protection in the middle, but if they get a hit in the bow or the stern, they will take maximum damage from that because there's no armor there.
So you got an incapacitation. What does that do to an enemy ship?
So you're able to hit enemy ships in a few different places, and depending on where you hit them, you can destroy their rudder, which
Okay.
means that they can't steer.
Yeah.
You can knock out their engine, which means that they can't move. And then you can also blow up their guns or their torpedo tubes.
And I guess the repair team would then bring those back online.
Yeah, exactly. And each module also repairs itself given enough time. So we are bunched up in A, and we are trying. We're gonna see if we can take out that battleship Courbet over there. But he's protected by 2 destroyers, so we're gonna have to be a little devious about it. Hello?
Hey. Porco's on the stream right now. He's watching.
Cool.
Shout out Porco.
So we can
Island incoming.
yeah, island incoming, and you can see the smoke of the enemy destroyer right there.
But you've got B and C, so capping A would help a lot.
Exactly. So
Just keeping them out.
we're
is
gonna
good.
stay in the circle for a little while. Oh no.
Can we turn fast enough?
Okay. If we're lucky, we won't get hit by anything at all.
Very nice.
Phew. Way too close for comfort, though. Alright, so we have captured A,
You have all three.
all three, so we're in a really good position again. So let's go destroyer hunting. He's sailing in a straight line for some reason, which makes it pretty easy to hit him. There we go. And
He looks so awesome.
now we have this battleship all to ourselves. So we're gonna turn on our speed boost and just obliterate him.
So you should ram him.
We're not gonna ram him, we're gonna torpedo him.
And then ram
Because
him.
he's much bigger, I don't wanna ram him.
Why not?
Because that is a recipe for one very exploded destroyer. So if we sail, minimize our profile.
You just explode. Oh, he exploded with gunshots. I thought he got hit, but he just shot at you.
Yeah, and so his guns take a pretty long time to reload, so there's a pretty good chance that we can just...
And you're catching him flat-footed, essentially, as well.
Exactly, so he's up against the edge of the map, so you can see that gray border.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have anywhere to go. He's exceeded the bounds of the area,
He is watching death come to him.
essentially. So we misjudged. Oh no!
Whoa, that reload.
So that was a mistake on our part, unfortunately.
Captain Crims comes in for the kill.
All right.
Oh, perfect.
We got shot real bad.
So am I playing on here? Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
So that's all the time I have right now. So thanks for watching the stream. Thanks for your donations, everyone. Hope you really enjoyed the game.
Smash that like button.